Welcome back to the racing game tutorials where we continue building our racing game, and this video we are going to build the smoke system into the wheels. So as we can see, I've already built it. Here it is. I even built the script and I even recorded building the script, but my file got corrupted. So here I am building it again once more. So the way we are going to build the smoke system is by using obviously a particle system. So here is how you create a particle system. You right click into your hierarchy, effects, particle system. So this is your basic particle system. However, we're not going to use this. We're going to go over to Window, Package Manager, and we are going to download this standard assets for Unity. So if you don't have this asset, what you can do, copy this line right here, Google it, and you should get this link right here. So just add it to your asset and you're good to go. Anyway, download that, import that, and you should get some errors, and the errors are regarding to the scripts. So all you have to do is go into these folders, and all you have to do is just delete the scripts folder. As we can see, I have no scripts folders in any of these folders. Anyway, in one of these folders you should find a particle systems, and inside the particle system you should find a smoke. So here's your smoke. There it is. This is what you're going to be using right here. Very nice, very simple. Anyway, okay, so what we're going to do with that smoke is we're going to build a script that will attach this smoke into all of these four wheels, like this for example, and this should emit the smokes whenever we drift. Okay, so to do that, we're going to obviously need a script, and the script that I built is called smoke system. So I will delete the script. I'll go into the scripts, into the engine, and here is my script, smoke system. I will delete this and I will build it once more for you guys. Okay, so go into your scripts, create a new script, call it something like smoke system, create it, open it, and you should get a empty script. Okay, so into the empty script, I will delete the start and the update, and we will populate this script. Okay, so what we're going to need for this script. The first thing that we're going to need is a reference to these wheels. The second one is going to be a reference that references the colliders of all these four wheels. So we're going to need two arrays for that. The next thing that we're going to need is a prefab reference to this smoke right here. So that is going to be another thing that we're going to be building. And the last thing that we're going to be needing is a reference to the smoke that we are building. So we're going to need another array for the actual smokes. Okay, so let's do that. First thing that we're going to need is a public game object smoke. I'll name this smoke prefab. Second thing that we're going to need is a public transform. It's going to be a transform this time. We're going to make it an array. So a transform array of wheels. So we're going to need all the four wheels, and we're going to name them wheel transforms. Next thing that we're going to need is a reference to the wheel colliders. So public wheel colliders, array of wheel colliders, and let's just name them wheel colliders for now. Next, we're going to need the array that will be instantiating from this smoke prefab. So we're going to do another public game object, a array of game object this time, and we're going to name it smokes. Let's just name it smokes for now. And the last thing that we're going to need is the particle system that is located inside these smokes. So let's do that. So let's do public particle system smoke particles. Okay, that's all we're going to need for now. Let's not forget to make this as an array for now. And the first thing that we're going to need is to get these references. So let's build a start method. Inside the start method, let's try to stay a little bit organized. So I will build a function to get all of these references. So let's make a function like find values. Let's actually build the function. Let's say void find values. And inside the find values, we are first going to get these wheel colliders. So in order to get these wheel colliders, we're going to go back into our game. We're going to open up the car controller and we're going to see that the wheel colliders is a public variable that contains obviously the wheel colliders. So in here, all we have to say is wheel transforms is equal to car controller dot wheel transforms. And as we can see, we can't say that because we don't have a car controllers. So let's do a private car controller controller, and let's get the controller. So let's say controller is equal to get component controller. Actually, no, car controller. Okay, that's good. Now that we have the reference to this car controller, we can access all of these values in here, or actually the public ones in here. And since we have that, all we have to say is controller dot wheel transforms. So now we have wheel transforms, which is equal to the wheel transforms from the car controller. We can do the same thing for the wheel colliders as well. So we're going to say wheel colliders is equal to controller dot wheel colliders. Okay, that is all good and well for now. The next thing that we're going to need is to give the size of these particle system and smokes. So let's do that. Let's say smokes is equal to new game object, and here is when you define the length of the game object, and the length will obviously be the wheel transforms length. So we're going to say wheel transforms dot length. There we go. We're going to do the same thing for the particle system. So we're going to say particle, actually we're going to say smoke particles is equal to new particle system, and the length will be the same length as the smokes. Okay, so now that we've found all of these values, we are going to need a update function to run the values. So before we do that, let's do a quick test. Let's see if this all actually works. So get your smoke system, drop it into your car, and hit play. If everything has been done correctly, these transforms should be filled up. Okay, as we can see, the length of these has been set to 4, and these two have been already assigned. Okay, that is a good sign. So now all we have to do is place this smoke prefab into 4 wheels. So to do that, we're going to need a update function, or maybe a fixed update. You can do any of those. I'll just do fixed update for now. And into the fixed update, let's call a function. Let's say run smokes. Let's build void run smokes right here. And what do we want to do inside the smokes? Well, before we actually do anything into the smokes, we first need to spawn the smokes. So after we find the values, we want to spawn smokes. Let's build a function for that right after we find the values. So let's say void spawn smokes. I spelled smokes wrong. So here is spawn smokes, and what do we want to do in here? Well, we just want to instantiate the prefab. And if we just do that, it is obviously wrong. So we want to spawn 4 smokes instead of 1. And to spawn 4 smokes, we want a for loop. So we're going to do for loop. The length is once again the same as the wheel transforms.length. So let's copy that. Let's paste that in here. Okay, now instead of just saying instantiate, let's move that up. And where we have the game objects of smokes, we are just going to do smokes, and the index of I is equal to this game object. So now we are filling up the smokes array of game objects. After we spawn 1 smoke, we want to set the particle systems to reference that same smoke. So let's say particle system in the index of I, which means the array, is equal to smokes in the index of I. We can't save that for now because this is a type mismatch. So we have to say get component dot particle system. We still get an error because I have misspelled the smoke particles like this. And now we should have no errors. Okay, that's good. Next thing that we're going to do is to replace the smokes, because if we spawn the smoke right here, it will be spawned right in the middle of the world, and that's not what we want. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to say smokes into the index of I dot parent, actually no, transform dot parent is equal to wheel transforms into the index of I dot transform. Okay, so now this just sets the parent, and after we set the parent we want to also set the position. So to do that we're going to say smokes into the index of I dot transform dot position is equal to vector3 dot 0, and instead of saying vector3 actually we need to say wheel transforms dot transform, actually no, wheel transforms in the index of I dot transform dot position. Next thing, we also want to set the rotation, so smokes into the index of I dot transform dot rotation is equal to quaternion dot identity, and that is the same as saying vector3 dot 0. But this is obviously for rotations and this is for positions and scales. And talking about scales, we also want to set the scale to 1. So smokes into the index of I dot transform dot local scale is equal to new vector3 1 1 1. So we want to set the scale to 1. Okay. Now, if we've done everything correctly, we should spawn 4 smokes into all 4 wheels. So let's see if it actually works. Okay, so back into our game, let's drag our prefab and drop it into the smoke prefab. And let's hit play. Now we have everything spawned and everything working correctly. So as we can see, we have a smoke that has been spawned into the wheel position. So that is nice and well. The reason that it's not playing is because it obviously is not set to play. So what we can do is just go ahead and play and pause it like this. So now it's playing constantly. Okay, now you might have guessed it, we need to make a way to play and stop it when we actually drift. So to do that, we have this function run smokes. And the way we're going to check if we're drifting or not is by using something called a wheel hit. This one. And the way we're going to use the hit is by using another for loop. So let's say for the length is once again wheel transforms dot length. So inside the for loop we need a if statement, and inside the if statement we need to say wheel colliders into the index of I dot get ground hit out hit. So if this returns a true, we can go ahead and read the slip of any of these tires. So now in order to read the slip, this is the syntax. We just say hit dot forward slip. That's it. This reads the forward slip. So we can't just use that, obviously. We need a formula, and the formula is like this. So we're going to say if mathf.abs, and inside the absolute we need to put that hit dot forward slip. We want to multiply that by another mathf dot abs hit, and this time is the sideways slip. So we want to multiply these, and we want to compare them to a value. So if that is bigger than or equal to 0.3 maybe, or actually let's not hard code this. Let's say slip limit. Let's create a value up here called slip limit. So let's create a range for that. Range, this will vary from 0 all the way over to 0.5 maybe. This is a public float slip limit. Okay. Now, if this expression returns a true value, we want to play or pause these smokes. And we can't just say smoke particles dot play. And the reason for that is because this smoke particle will play over and over and over and over again. And as we know, this method will be run basically 60 times per second. So we don't want to tell the smoke system to start playing every time this returns a true. So to fix that, we are going to need another if statement, and we're going to ask if the smoke particle into the index of I is playing. So if this is playing, we don't want to play it. We want to pause it. So in order to reverse that, we want to ask if it's not playing. So just add a exclamation mark right there. So if this is not playing, we want to tell it to play. So we're just going to say smoke particles in the index of I dot play right here. However, if this expression returns a false value right here, we want to do a else statement. And in the else statement, we want to say if this expression right here. So now we want to say if the smoke is playing, we want to just stop it. So smoke particle into the index of I dot pause, like this. So now this should all be working fine. Let's go back into our game and let's see if it actually worked. Okay, so into our script, let's set the slip limit very low for now. Let's set it to 0.2 maybe. And let's just hit play. Let's see if any of that is working. Okay, so we're not getting any smoke for now. And if I hit the accelerator, we should get some smoke. Okay, now you might see the error that I made in here. The smoke is pausing at that moment right here. So that's not what we want. Let's go back into our script and let's try and fix it. So instead of just saying pause in here, we are going to be using another function called stop. So instead of just using pause, we're going to use stop. So this should stop the emitting. Let's save that, go back into our game, and let's see if it worked. Okay, now the smokes are not stopping in mid-air. Okay, so a small adjustment that we are going to make in here is instead of asking if is playing, we're going to ask if is stopped. So just say if is stopped right here. And put a exclamation mark in the front. So now the game should be running fine. Okay, so here's the gameplay with the smoke system working. Okay, so that's it about this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you've learned something from it. And I will be seeing you in the next video.